What's up, everybody? Charlie Marlow here. Quick breakdown of that State of the Union address. I want to hear from you guys as well. Reply in the comments. What did you think? I thought Joe Biden did a really, really good job, and here's why. Look, he had to come out there and prove to a lot of people, including Democrats, that he is up for the fight and the campaign to go against Donald Trump for the next 8 months or so. Let's be real. All the questions about Biden's age and all that, those are all real. And he needs moments like this where he comes out there and he has energy. And by the way, with Joe Biden, it is never going to be perfect. He's never going to be a speaker like Barack Obama. Clearly, he is very old. He's always going to have a couple senior moments here and there and some stuttering and all that. And there was some of that. I think at this point, you're always going to get some of that from Joe Biden. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he had the really, really bad moment there. Sure, he was stammering here and lost his train of thought for a second and a couple stutters here and there. It wasn't perfect. But I think this also goes back to the fact that the narrative surrounding Joe Biden is that he's this feeble, elderly man, and that basically every time you see him publicly, he's going to fall down or just say something incredibly stupid. And I think it's pretty fair to say he did not do that tonight. And that's not saying he's a perfect president. Obviously, immigration, there are things that he has not handled well. But in me saying that Joe Biden did a really good job tonight, what I mean by that is just his performance tonight delivering that hour address. I didn't remember or see any moments where Republicans, got him. There was a little back and forth there, obviously, about Lake and Riley with, I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I feel like he looked like a president and he had a presence there. Again, we know he doesn't look young. He's 80-something years old. He's always going to look old. Was he shouting a little bit here and there? Yes, but I think just, to me, he needed to prove to a lot of Democrats also who are on the fence, probably a lot of independents, that he's up for the fight to campaign against Donald Trump for the next 8 months or so. Now, look, I've still said I have questions. It's not just about the election and getting through the election. Then you have 4 more years where this dude's going to be, 86 years old at the end of his presidency. But my comments tonight are just on tonight's speech. And I thought it was huge that he needed to have a moment like this. And he needs more, by the way. He's not going to now win because of tonight. But I do think the polls are going to start to tighten if Joe Biden continues to prove that he's got it, that he's there mentally, he can fight, he can campaign, and he can potentially take it to Donald Trump. If you thought beforehand that Donald Trump was going to clean Biden's clock in a debate, and I had questions about that. I still do. He still has to do it. But look, take your politics out of it. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, independent. My take tonight is just about Biden's performance in the State of the Union. And if you thought that Donald Trump was absolutely going to clean Biden's clock in a debate or in multiple debates, and by the way, I hope there are debates. There should be debates. If Joe Biden sits the debates out, I think he'll lose, and he should, to be honest with you. He needs to debate Donald Trump. But if you thought that Joe Biden couldn't debate Donald Trump and Donald Trump would absolutely smoke him, I think it's fair to say that this version of Joe Biden can go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump if he has the same energy, vigor, fight that he had tonight for the State of the Union. I'm not saying he's going to win the presidency. I'm not saying he's going to win a debate against Donald Trump. I also think, I've said this many times on the podcast, Everybody Settle Down with Eric Messersmith. I do think the expectations and the bar has been set so low for Joe Biden that if he goes out there and just has an okay speech, it looks good. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys disagree with me. But I thought this was a really good speech I thought this was a really good speech. That doesn't mean Biden was a perfect president. That doesn't mean he doesn't have issues with immigration. And I'm not saying this is a critique of his 3 years as president. I'm talking about tonight's speech. I think he knocked it out of the park. So I want to hear from you guys. And I don't want this to be, oh, I'm a Democrat, he did great because he's a Democrat, or I'm a Republican, he sucks because he's not in my party. I'm talking about how he performed tonight and setting up basically the next 8 months campaigning against Donald Trump. I'm a person, a Democrat, who said, man, I think he's too old. He looks too old. He's got to be president until he's 86. I think for people like me, independents, we know a lot of Republicans are never going to vote for Joe Biden. But I think a lot of people in the middle and Democrats that had their worries. And by the way, I still don't love the fact that our president would be 86 at the end of his term. But what he showed tonight, I do think resets his campaign. And look, I don't care what the polls say right now. Everybody knows that it's going to be a freaking toss-up, basically, come November. And it's probably going to come down to the blue wall states, really. Even if you give Trump, the Georgias, North Carolinas, Arizonas of the world. I haven't done the exact math, but I feel like if Joe Biden were to hold the blue wall, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, I think that gets the job done. So what do you guys think? About the speech, I think he hit the strong points for Democrats. I didn't love the fact that he started with Ukraine. I think for the State of the Union, for the United States of America, you should start with an American issue. Now, after talking about Ukraine for a couple of minutes, he did go to January 6th and the overturning of the election and all that. So he put those two together. But I do think if you're going against Trump, who's all about MAGA and America first, I think it's fair to say maybe strategically you start the State of the Union with an American issue, whether it's the economy. Look, obviously the Republicans would start on immigration. Let's be real, that's not a great issue for Democrats. So you're not going to start there for strategic reasons. But I didn't love the fact for the State of the Union in the United States of America that you started with a foreign policy issue. I think he hit on issues, whether you agree or disagree, the issues that are strengths for Democrats. Obviously, abortion, guns, healthcare. I think everything on the economy, there are a lot of positives in the economy. There's a lot of negatives, but I do think that Joe Biden needs to make the case for some of the positives in the economy. And I think he did a pretty good job of that tonight, but it's very nuanced. Obviously, stock market's high, unemployment's super low, but inflation is not going down at the rate we all hoped. So he has to tiptoe around that. And it's a nuanced discussion that he really has to hammer home. So if Joe Biden has the energy to do that on the campaign trail, obviously that will help him. So that's what he has to prove. It was a good night for Joe Biden. And I want to hear from you guys. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I think it would be hard to say that was a bad performance. I understand, again, if you don't like Joe Biden's politics, that's one thing. And I understand that. If you don't agree with anything he does politically, that's not what I'm talking about tonight. I'm talking about his performance as an orator, where everybody basically thinks this dude's going to fall down and he's going to stammer and have a senior moment. And I don't think he had one of those. Now, by the way, it takes way too long for these dudes to walk in and shake everybody's hand and all the selfies and all that too. Look, this is the president of the United States of America. You see this dude a lot, right? All these congressmen and senators. Do we really need a selfie before the freaking State of the Union? I don't think so. All right, there we go. A little longer than I expected. Maybe we'll do a longer one tomorrow after I really think it through even more. But that was just my instant reaction to the State of the Union and the 1 hour speech from Joe Biden. I'd give it an A, honestly. I'd give it an A. So tell me if I'm wrong. Again, that has nothing to do with if you like him or if you agree with his policies. Just his delivery as a dude where you were wondering about his energy and his age and his acuity. I do think we grade on a curve a little bit with Joe Biden. That's fair to say because he's 80-something years old. But that's where I do think the Republicans have put themselves in a little bit of a bad spot where the bar is so low for Joe Biden that when he goes out there and he's good, it's kind of alarming. So either way, I think now, look, you're in for a dogfight, Trump versus Biden. If you're a Democrat who was worried about Joe Biden's age, I think you're chilling now and you're like, okay, go out and campaign, prove it, keep proving it, do it again, and maybe you can win this thing. All right, comment, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Instant State of the Union reaction, Charlie Marlow. And again, comment. Let me know what you think. I want to hear from you guys. See ya.